All right, let's get started with our analysis here for April the 12th. All right, interesting day today. Before we get into that, let's take a look at our Forex Factory calendar here. So in terms of the big news, it was the inflation number for the pound, which was positive, and we saw pound getting pushed up as a result, and it actually closed the day at the highs, which is quite bullish for the pound. And then other than that, didn't really have a whole lot of other stuff. German ZU economic sentiment number here was important, which was again positive. And then we had this JOLTS job openings number, which is positive, but it's not as important. Other than that, that's it, nothing else. So it was a slow day in terms of the news. Let's take a look at tomorrow. All right, so very important day for the British pound here. We have Bank of England Governor Carney speaking. We have been getting some positive data out of UK here, and especially with all the Brexit talk that's going on and implications from that. In spite of all of that, we are still seeing positive data come out. So this is going to put pressure on Bank of England to at least start thinking about raising interest rates. But they... So we'll have to see how that goes. Market will be looking to see what he has to say about that. I don't expect them to be raising rates at this point because there's too much uncertainty around the around UK and their separation from European Union. So we're not expecting the interest rates to go up, but again, it's not if they actually happen, it's what they say that drive the market. So that will be very important. We also have average earnings index coming out. So this is the salaries, basically, if the average earnings go up, it'll be positive for the British pound. So if we get another positive number here, we should see British pound go up. But between the two, what Governor Carney here says will be more important. So need to watch that. We need to watch out for that. Let me just turn my news thing off here. Okay, and aside from that, we have another central bank here, Bank of Canada. So 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, Bank of Canada, we have monetary policy report, interest rate statement, and then a press conference. So again, not expecting to see an interest rate hike here, but again, what they say will be very important. So market is really watching to see what they have to say in terms of policy, where they see the economy going and the strength of the economy, that sort of stuff. So that will be important for Canadian dollar here. Crude oil inventories, again, important for Canadian dollar. So Canadian dollar may not be the best one to trade in the US session tomorrow. So just keep that in mind. And then we have, again, Bank of Canada Governor Poloz speaking again in the evening. But I think this here will be very important. And then in the Asian session here, we have Aussie employment data coming out and then China trade balance. So Asian session will be very critical for Australian dollar here. So that's our news. So let's go on to our charts here. In terms of euro here, yesterday we had a very neutral close. Today again, a very neutral close. Price did push back up. However, we see wicks on both sides and very small candle bodies. So this suggests that euro is not very strong at the moment. One of the things that's holding euro back is the French elections. And I think there were some reports that came out today in terms of polls, and they were talking about Le Pen had about, I think, 24%. So I would recommend going through this and taking a look at that. She was ahead in the polls. I need to check what the exact election day is. I don't remember it off the top of my head here, but let's see if this tells us later this month. So we're getting close. So I'll need to check on the exact date It slips my mind here. But there was one news. So I would look at this your news squawk here, and they will tell us where there was one here. Here we go. French presidential. Oh, okay. Macron had 58.5, so he was ahead. Le Pen was 41.5. Previously, Macron was at 58 and Le Pen at 42. So as these polls come out and as we get closer to the election day, we'll see volatility in the euro, and I think euro will be kind of way down just because of the French elections. So as a result here, we didn't see a big move here, very, very neutral day. So in terms of our level, so I think we can get rid of that one there. So that's this 106.20 that we had marked. It has gone above that. Okay, so it looks like the first round of voting will be on April 23rd, and then the top two candidates will face each other in second runoff on May 7th. Okay, so those are, thanks Walter, so those are the 2 days, April 23rd and May 7th. We'll keep those in mind. In terms of our levels, I think we can bring them in here. So this is an important support and resistance area, the one that got tested today. So this is, we'll keep this level. If the price breaks above this, we are looking at 106 over 10700. So we'll keep this one here as well. So those are the next two levels. In this case, neutral for the euro for tomorrow, which means we have to be open to trading on both sides. 106.35 here will be the first support resistance area. If it comes to 106.35 and gives us a sell signal, we could look into that. But above that, we have this 10700. So if it does break above and continues higher, it could go all the way to 107. 107 would be important support and resistance number here. Let me just turn this off. And to the downside, we are looking at if it breaks below 105.70 area here, the next support and resistance, it can go all the way to 105. So those two levels will be important to watch, 106.35 and 105.70. At this point, it is range bound between the two. So this is our day here, not much of a move. We have had 2 days where it hasn't moved very much. So we'll just keep this range in mind. This is the range, 105.70 in the to the downside, and then we have 106.35 above that, and beyond that we have 107. So range bound for euro. Moving into our pound. Pound here was very, very strong. So let's readjust some of our levels. Don't need that as anymore. So here we have a bullish candle. So we are at the highs. I have 12500 marked here, which is where we are. Based on the daily close, we are bullish on the pound. And in terms of levels, we have 12500, then above that 2550, and then 2600, which is this one. So not, it's only 100 pips. It could very well get there depending on what Bank of England Governor Carney says and average earnings that come out tomorrow. So do expect a bit of a move in this if Governor Carney is dovish on the UK, either the UK economy or how all the uncertainty around Brexit, that could push this down. And in that case, we'd be watching this 123.60-ish level to the downside, but 2500, 2550, all of that is very, very likely here. So this is where we are. This was, it's sitting up high. So when it sits up high, chances are it's going to go higher. So 2550 R2 level, excuse me, for tomorrow is not out of reach. It could very well get there. So So we have had one consolidation, two consolidation, and then we could have the third leg to the upside here going into this support and resistance area, which is 25.50. If something is very, very bullish, if either the Bank of England is bullish, or if we have very, very positive numbers come out, we could go all the way into this support and resistance area, which is 2600 or 2620, which is up here. So those we need to keep our eyes open for that. So we will keep that in mind. At this moment, though, it is into this resistance and looks like it's trying to push higher. Hasn't really, it has been my experience that once something sits up high, usually does another leg to the upside. So we are bullish on British pound here. Dollar CAD here, big day for dollar CAD. Like we talked about, it's in this range. It did this test of this level here, and now a bit of a bearish close for this. It's a doji, which means uncertainty. However, it did close to the bottom here. So we'll say bearish to neutral. However, because of the interest rate statement and Bank of Canada press conference there, this one we'll have to be very careful with. But at this point, we are still range bound on this between 34.50 and 32.60 to the downside. So we'll keep this range in view for now and keep it as is. If it does break to the downside for whatever reason, if Bank of Canada is very bullish, then or hawkish, I should say, then we are likely to see it move down to 132. I don't expect terribly huge move. This is doable, 13200. I don't really expect it to do like a huge move all in one day. However, never say never, because anything could happen. At this point, we are range bound between 134.50 to 132.60. So selling at the high, buying at the bottom. If it breaks through 132.60, we're looking for 13200 to the downside. But based on the daily close here, neutral to bearish. Aussie here was interesting because Aussie has been very much like the euro. So we have had two kind of neutral days here. This one, Monday, was very neutral, and Tuesday was very neutral here as well. Big doji legs on both sides. Oil was driving dollar CAD today, and we did see it drop, and then it was just whipsawing back and forth. So same thing with Aussie here as well. So in this case, we will keep so 74.80 would be our level to the downside. It needs to break this for it to continue lower. If it doesn't break 74.80 level here, we could see a move back up. So the move that we need to keep in mind, we could see one of these. That's one option, because it is range bound, and another one could be one of these. So if it comes to 75.20, we could see a push to the downside, or if it goes into 74.80 area, we could see it push up to the upside. So again, very much range bound, and we are looking for price to break out of the range, either above 75.20 or below 74.80. If it breaks to the downside, next target would be 74.20-ish area. This support and resistance right here. There are a couple of pins down here which make it an important support and resistance area. So our target to the downside would be 74.30, and to the upside, if it breaks to the upside, we're looking at 75.50 or even 75.80 area over here. So those are a couple of key levels if it breaks to the upside, or if it breaks to the downside, then 74.30. Overall, we are neutral on this. Looking at our 1 hour chart, as you can see, not much of a move on Monday or Tuesday, and these are our support resistance levels with targets to the upside, and then we have this one, which is our target to the downside. Okay, let's move on to New Zealand dollar. Let's take a look at the daily chart here. Okay, so we still, this downtrend is still intact. However, it is now becoming more range bound, just like the Aussie. So we had a bullish move in New Zealand yesterday, and then we had talked about the 69.70 level. It bounced off of that, but now it's closed into the highs. So at this point, we will treat this as a range-bound market. And for this, we could see it go into this 69.93, so 0.70 level. That would be my target to the upside, and basically just expanding the range a little bit because there's about 30 pips there. And to the downside, we are looking at 68.93, so about 6,900. Looking at the 1 hour chart here. As we can see, this was the Monday, this was Tuesday, so not much has changed. If it does stay below this, we are looking for a further move to the downside. But at this point, this looks a little bit range bound, and we need to see the price break out of the range. If it breaks down, like it's trying to push down now, our target here would be 68.93, so 6,900, or even if it does get some momentum to the downside, we could be looking at 68.64 level. So those will be the two levels to the downside. And to the upside, of course, the first one is 0.700, and then it could go into one of these levels. So we could bring this down right about here. This is a good level, so 70.50 will be the target if it breaks above 70 or 68.90 to the downside. Okay, so those were our majors. Just looking at our Euro Aussie here, we have the same thing. Yesterday, the level we were looking at was this one here, 41.80 level right here. Today, it did poke through this because Aussie at one point was going down and Euro wasn't moving very much, and then it started moving up. So at this point, an indecision candle, a long wick to the upside, which means a rejection of the top there, but we could see it go back up. So 41.80 would still be a level that would be of interest to us. This is where it came to. As you can see, there is support and resistance in this area here as well. So this is where price came to, which is 42.20 area. And it could go and do a test, or it could do a test of 41.80 here. So in this case, we could be looking for a move something like this and then a drop. But at this point, it is range bound, so we could get a potential selling opportunity at 41.85 or at this high over here. And in the bottom, if it comes to 40.50 level here, we could see one of these. So again, a lot of these are range bound at the moment. So we can look for a trading opportunity both ways. Based on the 1 hour, as we can see, price had gone up quite a bit. And since then, it has dropped. And now it looks like it wants to push lower. So 40.50 here or 140 would be the target beyond that. Pound Aussie was another one we were watching. Here's our, this one was actually a really good one today. It pushed up, it broke through this level that we were looking at 65.80 yesterday, 165.80, went all the way to the high here. It took out all this inefficiency, got filled here, and now we are at 167. And this would have been a good price to sell it, or the break above this actually was very good here as well. So this was a very solid break above, and then a move to the upside all the way to the top to 6,700. And looking at a 5-minute chart, here was something that I thought was very interesting. So this is our 5-minute chart. And sometimes you'll see me draw these little scenarios. So this was one of those scenarios. So this is what I called a back test of the level trade. So once price breaks through, see how this red candle came and tested this support resistance level from the other side. So this is what I call a back test, and then we take off. We do see when price breaks out of the range, a lot of times we see this type of a move. So keep an eye out for these type of moves, especially if we are at important support and resistance areas. Normally we'll see price break through, come back and test the same level from the other side. Now resistance becomes support, and then we move up to the next level. And in this case, our next support and resistance area, which was right at 16700. So that's one way to trade something like this. Once it breaks through this, this was our support resistance levels, 165.80. Price was trading here for quite some time on Monday. Then it came back, held this level, and then we finally broke through it. And now we've gone all the way to the top. So I just thought that that was an interesting trade. At this point, it looks bullish. However, it is into our resistance here. So the next level for this would be right about there, 67.80 level. So that would be the next target. But before it pushes up, we are likely to see a pullback. And in terms of a pullback, looks like I'm missing my pivot points. So let me add those. Okay, so here are our pivots. Okay, so we could pull back into the pivot or even into S1, which is the bottom, we will then have a confluence with our S1 level, which is 1.6550 level. So we have the 50 level, we have our trend line here, and we have S1. So that's a good level to watch out for a potential move to the upside. And in terms of our fibs here, we have another confluence. This will be a 80% retracement level as well. So we could see a pull there. Or we could see a push up from there, or this previous support and resistance level, which was 65.80 level. So we could see potentially see the price come down and do the same sort of move that we saw today, come down into this support and resistance area and then bounce off from that. So this was the high for the last 3 days. So this was a resistance. It held at this level, finally broke through. So now we could see it come and test this level again and then bounce off, or we could see a test into this level here and then a bounce to the upside. But in terms of the pair itself, it looks bullish. So the only caveat with this one will be the, again, Bank of England tomorrow and the numbers, that average earnings numbers that come out for UK tomorrow. So that could be the driving force here. Other than that, Euro yen we were looking at yesterday. So this was the support and resistance line we had drawn, and it dropped exactly to our support and resistance line. I actually was not, at one point I thought maybe it will not actually get down there. I missed this opportunity, did not get involved in this trade, but this one, it took off. We were looking at this yesterday, and we were expecting a down day, and it was a very nice down day, but missed opportunity. So let's see, what are we looking at tomorrow? So based on this, it looks bearish today, very bearish, but the geopolitical risk that we have right now, that's driving some of these moves. So yen, anytime there is a lot of political risk, stuff going on around the world, yen tends to get strong. Gold tends to get strong. So that's what we were seeing today. We saw gold take off to the upside, and we saw yen drop. So again, because of the geopolitical risk in the market, money is flowing into safe haven currencies and asset classes. So this is where we are today. So now we are into the support level. So this is an important support level. We did see price react to this 2-3 times before it broke through. At this point, though, we could see a pushback up and potentially into 11700 level, or into this one here, 116.70. So those will be the two levels. So right now looks like it's bouncing off. So let me insert pivot points indicator again. Okay, so our pivot level is at 116.50, so we could see a move up into the pivot, and then something like this, and then move back down. So pivot, or even into this R1, which is the 11700 level, exactly 117. So we could see pull back all the way up here, and then a move to the downside. So those will be the two levels that we need to watch for in terms of pullbacks. But the move has been very, very strong. So this is bearish. The outlook on this will be bearish for the day. And that goes for all the yen crosses. I think all the yen crosses were very, very bearish because yen has been very, very strong against pretty much everything. So any questions, anything else that we need to look at? Oh, there's dollar Swiss here. Based on this candle, we were looking for a move to the downside. We got that. So the next target here would be 1.00 level here. This is where the price is. Not a big, huge move today. So looking at the 1 hour chart, we are seeing lower highs. So push is still to the downside. At this point, this is where we are, and we could see a move back into this level. And then this is an important support and resistance level. Price reacted to it on the way up and then held above this. So this is the same move that we were talking about, breaking out of the, see how price held here, same move that we saw in the pound today, not just kind of played out over a period of time. So the support, the resistance becomes support, and then price bounces off of that to the next level higher. So at this point, we could see something like this, or we may even see something like this. But overall, though, this looks bearish. And in terms of our fibs, the daily move was very, very small. So let's see here. So yeah, so here we have 127 confluence, and we're back into the support and resistance level, which is our S2 level here as well. And this is our 50% retracement level. So basically, oops. So based on the daily here, we are looking for a move to the downside. Okay, any questions or anything else that we need to look at before we call it a wrap? All right, so that looks like a no. So perfect. You guys have a great rest of the evening, and I'll see you in the trade room tomorrow. Okay, good night.